During the water science curriculum, students have entered data points from various water quality tests. You may have had the students write down their findings from their activities and enter the values into iSense when they were at their computers. Maybe there wasn't a whole lot of variation in the data collected by kids in one class period. Their water was about the same temperature and had similar amounts of dissolved oxygen, levels of phosphate, nitrate. As part of the capstone, we would like students to get the big picture by seeing other results from their state and across the country, and be able to share the results that they found at their school. So let's look at a specific example in ITSE to see how your class can share and compare data. We'll start with part 2, how healthy is your watershed? So if you scroll down in part 2, you will see the first time that the students have entered data into the water science monitor. Let's take a sample class that I know is in Massachusetts. And this is a class that actually has a good amount of data to look at. Let's select them. And I actually don't know a team name, so I'm not going to enter anything. Set the team without a name. Now here you see where students would have entered data if that was the step they were at, but we're going to assume that all the data has already been entered by your class. And I didn't have a team here, so I'm going to try to visualize my class. Now there were 23 data sets in this class, so it's possible that each student had their own individual team. And that's fine too. There could have been 4 data sets. There could have been as many as we needed. So this is an interesting graph because there's actually 2 different things being displayed on it. One is the depth in meters. And if I hover over any of these, I find out that, there was about a 0.2 meter depth where they collected their water, which sounds about right. And if I just hover over any of these data points, it gives me that there's a 0.24 depth. And then the other thing on this graph is temperature. And you can tell that this was a pretty cold day. The temperature was between 4 and 6 degrees Celsius when this water was collected. Now, other than the bar chart here, are there any better ways to display my class data? I can look at the histogram here, and the histogram tells me, well, interestingly enough, it's only showing the depth. It doesn't show the temperature. So that is not as exciting. It shows me that 22 people in this class had a depth of 0.21 meters. One person had the depth of 0.24 meters. And this actually shows me the depth group by team name. So let's visualize all of this teacher's classes because this teacher actually had multiple classes. And when I look at this data from all the classes, I see that there are some very out of range values which really should be discounted. So for example, I have one student here who thinks that they got their water at the depth of 100 meters. So we're just going to overlook that. You see the temperature here, again, across this teacher's classes from 6 to 9 degrees. Now, it may be more interesting if we look across the state, and the state is Massachusetts. Again, you see some of that data where incorrect values may have been entered, and we're going to discount that. For example, a temperature of 71 degrees centigrade. Somebody was thinking in Fahrenheit. We also have somebody who entered a negative temperature. Well, that's interesting. I don't think that they collected water at negative 6 degrees centigrade, but anything is possible. And you see the variation of temperature, everything from 8 degrees up to about 28 degrees, which I think was a test value from before. Now, where do we stand as compared to all the states? Well, again, I would think that those who entered 53 degrees centigrade, 70 degrees centigrade were just in the wrong units. But you do see quite a variation from different states in terms of temperature, and Massachusetts is really the coldest. So when it's time to make a screencast-o-matic presentation about what you found with your class, you will want to show the teacher level or the class level data and be able to have one of the kids maybe give a narration about what this data meant. This may involve showing multiple data sets. This one is the temperature difference. You might want to show phosphate or nitrate from activity 3. And you may want to have these screens ready back to back so that you can just switch tabs and be able to show the next graph while the students or the teacher narrate what's happening. This is something that can be saved beforehand to be shared on the day of the teleconference that you'll be doing by Zoom. So the benefit of this kind of sharing is that iSense has already saved the data from all the classrooms across the country, and students will be able to compare their class's data to everyone else's in the sharing capstone activity.